Welcome to Better Than Yesterday. So in today's video, we're taking a deep dive into what self-improvement is and how you can actually get onto it. So specifically today, I wanted to talk about holistic self-improvement, and that is basically the philosophy of trying to improve every aspect of your life. And you might have noticed that the name of this channel is called Better Than Yesterday. So it's something that we talk about very often on this channel is trying to improve on the person that we were yesterday. And sometimes, as someone who is on that journey of self-improvement, I sometimes forget, that not everyone is actually on self-improvement. And I think a lot of us do who are already in this community. But I think self-improvement is one of those things that just really has the capacity to change your life. Because, up until a few years ago, I was exactly the same. I was someone that was going about my life in a very linear path. I didn't actively work on myself every day to level up. And that's all that self-improvement is. It's leveling yourself up in the real world and just trying to improve on everything that you do. But to actually get started in self-improvement, there's definitely a place where you can start, and that's what I wanted to talk about today is the path that you can take. It's the path that I took, but it's a path that I've heard from a lot of people and from a lot of research into this is a good path that you can take to actually go from being someone who isn't working on themselves at all to someone who is even working on the finest details in their lives. So to get on self-improvement, and specifically holistic self-improvement, you have to start with the very first layer, and that is the fundamentals. The first layer being your mental health. So sometimes mental health, there's a lot of talk about mental health these days. I think people fall into the trap of thinking that we are still living 10 years ago, where there wasn't much talk about self-improvement, but specifically your mental health. And I think we've seen in the last 10 years a big leap and a big rise in talk about mental health, which is great. But I think mental health is sometimes something that we don't take seriously enough, because it's very evident when your physical health, for example, is not in a good space. But mental health is something that you can hide. You can very easily hide. You can be, and this was my story in high school, especially the beginning of high school, is that I was someone who was very outwardly happy, had everything going for him. But mentally, I just wasn't doing that well. I had a poor mindset, very negative, and all those kind of things. And I just didn't have a positive outlook in life. My self-esteem was in a very low spot. So I'd say the very first thing that you have to work on when getting on this journey of self-improvement would be your mental health. And simply that's because if your mental health is not in a good space, you won't be able to continue in this journey consistently. You'll just be up and down, because when your mental health is not good, you really aren't able to do much. You aren't able to focus. Sometimes you are constantly thinking back about past issues or maybe something that's going on in your life right now. But you have to get your mental health right. And this video isn't necessarily talking exactly about how you can do all these things. There are many videos on our channel. In fact, there's a video dedicated all about improving your mental health that we've made. But this is just the path that you can take. So mental health, take it seriously, and once you've got your mental health in a good spot, you'll be able to move on to the second layer of the fundamentals, which is your physical health. So you've gotten your brain and mind in a good spot. Now you need to start taking your physical health seriously. And this means exercising, going to the gym. This was something that, as well, same for me. Again, I didn't take seriously. I think a lot of people, before you get on this journey of self-improvement, you just don't take these things as seriously as you should, because you aren't actively looking to level them up. You sort of, oh well, this is just who I am. This is how I'm going about my life. No, but when you realize that you do have the power in your hands to take yourself from this level all the way up to here. It's so powerful. So the last few years I've started a journey of going to the gym and working on my physical health. And for a lot of people, it doesn't have to be going to the gym. It can just be being active. Going for walks and runs regularly. Some people are way more into that cardio side of things. For me, I just prefer the weightlifting side. But work on your physical health. Once you've got these two fundamentals in a great spot, your life will not look the same. Honestly, if you've gone from someone who was perhaps going from suffering with anxiety and a little bit of depression and just maybe not having their head in the right space, to someone who does have their head in a positive manner, And then again, you've worked on your body now, and your body's in a good space. You're healthy, you're fit, you're strong. You can actually, we are often. I look around and it's quite sad. Young people are often just so like, we're so weak. Any bit of physical activity, and we're like, oh, and we're like talking about how we have lower back pain. But we shouldn't have these things as young people, and it's simply because we don't put our bodies through what we need to be. We need to be putting them to the test all the time. I mean, you only have a few years of your life where you can really take advantage of your body at its full power. So that's why I think it's so important. Those are the two fundamental layers of getting on self-improvement. So moving on to the second layer of self-improvement. And these are things that are very important, but first require those fundamentals to be in place. So the first one being your career and making money. And that's something that's very important, is, just getting that on track. You might be someone who's still in school, and in that case, you already are on a path to, unfortunately, or fortunately, you could say the 12 years of schooling that you have to go through is something that, we all have to go through. You could drop out, but you're already on that path, And if not, you're just out of school, you should be working towards some way of, making money and, building your career. And that just looks like, whether it's studying for you, you have to go on a journey. This is all part of self-improvement, is going on that journey of discovering what you like. And often you find that in self-improvement, once you've found yourself and your identity, your mental health in a good space, your physical health in a good space, it puts you in a good spot to start thinking about, okay, cool, what do I want to do with my life moving forward? How am I going to stop being so reliant on my parents and asking them for some money every time I want to go out with my friends? How can I actually get to a point where I'm providing that for myself? And for us, for those of us who are, I'm just in my 20s now, very early in my 20s, still 20 years old. But I've realized that, making your own money and, most of my final year of studies, these kind of things, you just want to be moving forward. You don't want to be stagnant. I think that's the main idea here, is to, be better than yesterday. That's what the philosophy of this channel is just to constantly be moving forward in that aspect of getting your life on track. And you start getting some work experience. I mean, I started working at a restaurant recently, and it's been the coolest experience, honestly, because you might not think, okay, it's not like I'm aiming to be a waiter for the rest of my life, but the experience that I've had there, just working under someone, under a manager, and then seeing what the work environment is like, and working with a group of people, and serving customers, it's invaluable lessons that you learn from that. And you make some money, and that's all you can do, is start getting experience. Start seeing where you fit in, what you enjoy, and actively work on your career and making money. Another element of the second layer would be working on relationships. Perhaps you're someone who, and this can mean romantic relationships, but it could also mean into your family and that kind of thing. I'll first talk about family. Family is something that sometimes we are reluctant to be as grateful as we should be for it, because your family's always there. You just assume your family's always there, but that's the amazing thing about family, is that they are always there. You can have amazing friends in life, but your family is just when it really gets dark, the only people that are going to be left is your family. So keep them close, work on those relationships. Actively take time to get off your phone and speak to your mom and dad, and that kind of stuff. And it's really important. You won't realize that when you put more effort into a relationship, you might get more effort out of them as well, which is amazing. And this can also work into romantic relationships. I remember a big part of my initial and early self-improvement journey was the fact that I just had no confidence speaking to the opposite gender, and but I worked on that, and that can just spend some time again doing research into channels like this, and there's many brilliant channels on YouTube and books that you can read, and just even just self-analyze, look at yourself and be like, there's probably some things that you can do better, and work on your confidence, work on being someone who treats everyone the same. Even whether it's that person that you have a crush on, or whether it's another person, you treat them the same way, and you don't like a shaky little character as soon as that comes. So working on relationships, and I mean, obviously we're all looking for intimacy and love and all that kind of stuff. So the only way to get that is to sometimes, you can sometimes complain about the world and be like, oh, there's no one good out there, but first I think the best thing you can do is analyze yourself and be like, am I actually someone that is worthy, and would be, an attractive partner in a relationship? spend some time thinking about that. And another element to the layer would be social skills. And I think this is so important. Again, for myself, I think the very reason why we started this channel Better Than Yesterday was because Daniel and I went through such a journey of improving our social skills. We used to be those quiet guys in school who were very shy, low self-esteem. I mean, I don't want to speak for Daniel, but I'm sure you wouldn't mind me saying, And we really went on a journey of now being guys who are leaders, in many different situations. And that's not because of anything like again, if you saw me a few years ago, you wouldn't necessarily think that, and it's just because we've put in some of the work, in the self-improvement, and we're still at the beginning of that journey, but we've made a lot of progress, especially in that social skills aspect. And I used to be someone who considered myself an introvert. Like I used to think, I used to watch videos about what it's like to be an introvert, because I thought I was one, and maybe I was at the time. But I actually went on a journey where now I completely thrive off of being around other people, and it's so amazing to think that that is something you can change. And maybe you don't want to change that aspect of yourself, but it's just incredible to think that you can. And there's books like The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and I think it's just important to take account of how important social skills can be, because they always say, it's who you know, not what you know, but how you're going to get to know people, and important people especially, if you aren't someone that has the social skills to do so. So, jumping into the third layer of self-improvement and holistic self-improvement. This is starting to get onto things that are a little bit more periphery. But, once you've worked on all the things I've just mentioned previously, these are the kind of things you can start working on. So maybe you feel like your mental health and physical health in a good space, social skills, relationship, career, it's all on the up. Now what can you start doing in self-improvement? And I made a video about this recently. And it's about becoming someone who would be referred to as a generalist. This means someone that has a good general knowledge of many different things, So how you can do this is just start saying yes to more opportunities. And this will just allow you to experience more things. Like I said, different experiences working at a restaurant. I've had a few different jobs that just came my way, and I took the opportunity each time. And it just teaches you lots of new things. And whether it's hobbies, that's another point that I thought of, is start taking up more interesting hobbies. If you're someone who just sits around and watches Netflix and scrolls on Instagram, you're not going to be a very interesting person to speak to, because what are you going to speak about? Like the last meme you saw and the last TV show you watched. But if you're someone who has interesting hobbies, like rock climbing or going on hikes, or even if not that, reading, or you could think of so many things. Maybe building AI in your spare time, or doing something cool and productive. Working on art. It can be whatever, but and everyone's allowed a bit of time to relax and watch some TV. But if those are all your hobbies are, then you should really look for something that is more interesting, that you can start to talk about talk to other people about. And another thing would be working on your attention span, and this simply comes from not being addicted to your phone. I think this is such an important aspect of self-improvement, and if you haven't worked on this yet, definitely worth putting some time into. Critically analyze yourself and be like, how good is my attention span right now, and how short is it rather? And if you find that you are unable to go a few minutes without being entertained or looking at your phone, then you'll realize that just think back to 100 years ago when people didn't have even TV or phones or anything. They were so much more creative because they were always thinking of things they could do. But instead, these days, we are just able to be entertained and have the whole world at our fingertips 24 hours a day. So, we don't actually come up with much new or innovative. And the next part, the next things that you can get into, in this third layer is stuff like working on your body language. Becoming someone, again, you can go through that inner journey of becoming someone who's more confident. But if you don't look it on the outside, it just won't look that way to people. And so start working on your body language. Sit more comfortably in places, stand, with your shoulders back, and posture all good. And just don't make yourself smaller than you need to be. And you're already on that journey of starting with body language. You can work on things like orthotropics, which is improving your facial structure. These are starting to get into things that are a bit more periphery. But once this is the thing with holistic self-improvement, is that you can always improve yourself. Even when you're 70 years old and you've spent your whole life doing this, there'll still be more things that you can work on. So that's just another thing that you can get into. You're working on your leadership skills. Okay, you're now someone who perhaps is able to hold themselves in a social situation, but you can't really take the lead. Well, then spend some time working on that. That's something that I've been trying to do recently, and I constantly have to sort of push myself into that space. But as soon as I do, I realize like, wow, this is something that's sure, it's so amazing to see that muscle being built in yourself, um, simply because you're able to have influence on people, and I think that's very very important. So start working on your leadership skills if you've covered all these things that I've already spoken about before. That's why I think it's important to go about the self improvement in layers, because you can't start working on your leadership skills if your mental health is not even in a good spot. So you have to sort of go about it in an orderly fashion. Getting on to the fourth layer. So this is now when I don't think I'm anywhere near this layer yet, but this would be sort of things like learning a new language, or perhaps working on a third or fourth income. These are things that once you've really achieved a very very high level of being in so many aspects in your life, these are the kind of things that you can start to work on. So that is the 4 layers of self-improvement. You can let me know actually in the comments, what are you currently working on in yourself? Because in my self-improvement journey, initially it was the 2 fundamentals. It was just working on my mental health, working on my physical health, and then it became all about socializing and skills. And I'd say now I'm currently on the 3rd layer, where I'm trying to work on a lot more of these periphery things. But I think the 4th layer is when you can really start to become. I mean, imagine you're that guy who's just in good shape. His mental health is, or this girl, in good shape. It goes both ways, and they have interesting hobbies. They have perfect body language. They're able to take a lead. They know a new language. They are like doing so well for themselves because they've built up many forms of income, and they've got investments and savings. I mean, if you're that person, you are just going to be successful. And I actually wanted to touch on that. Is why do we do this whole self improvement thing? At the end of the day, it's to make our lives easier. If life was a slog, then it wouldn't be too much worth living. But all of these things, you could say, why would you work on your facial structure, and why would you, work on your body? Because it makes your life easier. You're allowed to. People take you more seriously. People will, you're more likely to succeed in your career. All of these things. So at the end of the day, why we're doing this stuff is just to make your own life easier. And you can't really change the world around you. Until you become an exemplary person yourself, so you can't look at the world around you and start writing essays about how the world is so bad if you yourself are just someone who doesn't contribute too much to society, and maybe is a detriment to society even. So that's why we do self-improvement. That's why I wanted to touch on this video today, and let me know which layer, based on this video, would you say you're in. I hope this has been something that's been enjoyable for you. I'm so passionate about this topic, I could speak about it all day, but I think we'll wrap it up there for today's video. And please leave a comment down below. Like I said, consider liking the video and subscribing to this channel, Better Than Yesterday, for more content like this, where we just have conversations, aimed at building each other up, and really reaching our highest potential. That is really what we're trying to do here, and I take it very seriously. But really hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Much love.